They never saw it coming. Not from you. Not from the one they laughed at, mocked, ignored, and counted out. You were never supposed to rise. You were never supposed to become anything more than a shadow of pain and disappointment. But here you are, standing, breathing, and awakening. And let me tell you something with divine certainty. You are the chosen one, not by the standards of this world, not by popularity, status, or wealth, but by divine appointment. You were marked long before you ever knew your name, and what they did not expect was the storm of glory that would rise from the ashes of your suffering. There's a certain silence that follows pain, a silence that's not empty, but sacred. You've lived in that silence. You've sat in rooms filled with people who didn't see you. You've smiled in the faces of those who secretly doubted you. You've loved people who betrayed you. You've supported people who later turned their backs and pretended they never needed you. And through it all, you held your breath, not because you were weak, but because you were waiting for God's timing. And now, the trumpet is sounding in the spirit. The divine realm is shaking, the heavens are opening, because you're rising, and not just rising, you're ascending beyond their understanding, beyond the limits they tried to put on you, beyond the cages they built for your destiny. What they didn't understand is that pressure doesn't destroy the chosen, it activates them. You see, many of you watching this right now, you weren't just overlooked, you were deliberately diminished. Something about your presence, your light, your spirit, it unsettled people. They couldn't put their finger on it, but they felt your power before you even knew you had any. And so they tried to dim you before you discovered your shine. They planted seeds of doubt in your mind, told you who you couldn't be, pointed out every flaw, every mistake, every shortcoming. But here's the thing, they never had the authority to define you. Only God does. And God never called you weak, He called you anointed. Some of you were rejected by your own family. Others were bullied at school, sabotaged at work, abandoned by lovers, or betrayed by friends. And through each of those heartbreaks, you wondered, why me? But let me tell you why. Because the chosen ones are tested differently. Your life has not been ordinary because your calling is extraordinary. What looked like delay was actually divine preparation. Every tear was watering the soil of your future harvest. Every sleepless night was forging spiritual resilience in you. Every rejection was redirecting you back to God's perfect will. You have to understand, when God marks you, you become a target. But not because you're cursed, because you're carrying a glory that the darkness fears. There is something about you that hell tried to silence. The enemy saw what was on your life before you did, and so the attacks began early. Maybe it started in childhood, maybe it continued in toxic relationships or patterns of self-doubt. But the common thread, you were always under pressure, always in the fire. But here's the good news, you were never alone in it. God was in the fire with you. Some of you feel like you've been walking through a wilderness season for years, where nothing makes sense. Doors seem locked, people leave without reason, and you're left wondering if God forgot about you. But He didn't. The wilderness isn't punishment, it's preparation. Just like He took Moses to the backside of the desert before he confronted Pharaoh. Just like He allowed Joseph to be thrown in a pit before he stepped into the palace. Just like David was anointed in obscurity before he took the throne. The wilderness is where the chosen are refined. They never expected you to rise like this because they were only watching your current condition, not your divine position. They judged you by the chapter they walked in on, but they didn't read the whole story. They saw you broke, not knowing you were being built. They saw you quiet, not realizing you were hearing from God. They saw you struggle, not realizing you were gathering power. They saw you cry, not realizing heaven was moving. And now the shift is happening. The anointing is speaking for you. The doors are about to open, the tables are about to turn, and your name is being mentioned in rooms your feet haven't even entered yet. Because when God says it's your time, no devil, no hater, no lie, no delay, no betrayal can stop it. He is not a man that He should lie. His promises are yes and amen. And what he spoke over your life, even in the womb, will come to pass. You are not crazy for feeling like you were made for more. That restlessness, that divine discomfort, that's your spirit recognizing that elevation is near. Your soul can feel what your eyes have yet to see. And I want you to hold on to this truth. What they meant for evil, God is turning for good. Every word curse, every betrayal, every attempt to bury you, it was all part of the plan. You weren't buried, you were planted. And now, you're blooming. In the very soil that was meant to suffocate you, you are growing. In the very environment they thought would kill your dreams, you are rising into your destiny, not by your might, not by your strength, but by the Spirit of the living God. Do not be surprised if people start acting strange when they see the glow on your life. Some will pretend they never doubted you. Others will try to reattach themselves when they see the favor. But be discerning. Not everyone can go with you. Not everyone is meant to sit at the table God is preparing for you. Some were only assigned to your wilderness, not your promised land. And that's okay. You're not angry. You've healed. But you're also wise. You've learned. You've outgrown old cycles. You've stepped into divine awareness. So let this serve as confirmation to your soul. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not broken beyond repair. You are chosen, elevated, protected, and your rise is divinely orchestrated. Heaven is backing you. Angels are surrounding you. The Spirit is guiding you. And what's coming next is going to make even your enemies say, how did they survive all that and still shine like this? They never expected this version of you, the healed you, the wise you, the powerful you. But God always did. He's been waiting for this moment, for this unveiling, for this breakthrough. And now, your story is about to shift from survival to supernatural success. You didn't just wake up one day and decide to be strong. Life forced you into that strength. You didn't want to become battle-tested. You were just trying to survive, but survival turned into training, and training turned into transformation. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every setback was molding you into something unshakable. You were forged in spiritual fire, not because you were weak, but because you were destined to carry something that few could handle. The weight of divine purpose, the responsibility of light, the call to war in the spirit while walking in peace on the surface. You didn't get here by accident. You got here by enduring seasons that would have broken most. Some people gave up under far less pressure, but you kept moving, you kept praying, you kept trusting, even when it didn't make sense. Even when your bank account was empty, even when you sat alone in your room, wondering if anyone truly cared. You were not just surviving battles, you were learning the language of warfare, the spiritual kind, the kind where your tears became your prayers, your pain became your fuel, and your silence became your secret weapon. Because when you're chosen, battles come before the crown. The anointing attracts warfare, but it also guarantees victory. They thought you were weak because you weren't fighting back the way they expected. But you were fighting back in the spirit, on your knees, in your worship, in your fasting, in your solitude. You didn't retaliate, you elevated, and that confused them. They couldn't understand how you kept smiling, how you kept showing up, how you kept giving love when all you received was coldness. But it wasn't you, it was the God in you. And now the atmosphere is shifting. The battle is nearing its end. What you've carried quietly in your spirit is about to manifest in your life. Your enemies, spiritual and physical, are beginning to tremble because they sense what's coming. They sense the light breaking through. They see the divine hand moving, and they don't know how to stop it because they can't. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. They formed, yes, but they failed. They sent attacks, they gossiped, they sabotaged, they mocked, but none of it worked. You're still here, still standing, still chosen. Do you realize how dangerous that makes you in the spiritual realm? You've been through hell, and instead of turning bitter, you turned holy. Instead of breaking down, you broke through. Instead of becoming like them, you stayed true to who you are. That is spiritual power. That is divine resilience. That is the mark of the anointed. You don't fight like the world fights. Your weapons are not carnal. They are spiritual, and they are mighty through God. And yes, God saw everything. Every conversation you were left out of, every lie they whispered behind your back, every door that was shut in your face, every time someone smiled to your face but secretly resented your light. He saw it all, and he said, "Not yet." Not because he was ignoring you, but because he was preparing something bigger than you imagined. If God had stepped in too early, you would have settled for something far beneath your purpose. But he allowed certain things to fall apart so that the right things could fall together. Some of you were holding on to relationships that were draining you. You kept asking God to bless them, but he let them fall apart, not to hurt you, but to save you, because he knew they couldn't go where he was taking you. He knew they didn't value the treasure you carried. He knew they only loved the version of you that stayed small and quiet. But that version is gone. You are stepping into your fullness now, and it's shaking the room. You are becoming too much for some people, and that's okay. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. You were meant to shift atmospheres just by walking in. Your presence is power. Your voice is truth. Your spirit is disruptive in the best way. And yes, that means people will talk. That means some will leave. That means some will try to pull you back into old patterns. But remember this, you're not going back. Not to the old mindset, not to the old cycle, not to the old you. You've grown beyond that now, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You're not chasing validation anymore. You're not begging people to see your worth. You've realized that being chosen isn't about being liked. It's about being called. And callings are lonely, heavy, sacred. They come with spiritual weight, but they also come with divine backing. You may not have many people clapping for you right now, but heaven is thundering in celebration. The angels have been assigned to your path. The Spirit of God is breathing on your steps. And now the rise begins. Not the kind of rise the world praises, the shallow kind, built on trends and applause. No, your rise is rooted in character, in humility, in obedience. It is the rise of someone who has been through the fire and came out purified, not burned, refined. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. The mask is off, the chains are gone, the fear is melting. You're not waiting for the world's permission anymore. Heaven already authorized your next move. And those who plotted against you, those who sowed discord, who mocked your faith, who tried to bury your confidence, they're watching. And they're afraid, not of you, but of the hand that's moving on your behalf. They know something is coming. They can feel it in the spiritual realm. Your glow is too strong to hide now. Your presence is too potent to ignore. The same mouths that gossiped about you will soon be silenced by your rise. But this isn't about revenge. This is about revelation. You're not here to prove them wrong. You're here to prove God right. His promise, His word, His plan. Every delay had meaning. Every closed door was protection. Every betrayal was redirection. And now, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, your transformation is undeniable. Your oil is real. Your voice is anointed. Your spirit is royal. And the world is about to witness what happens when the underdog is divinely unleashed. So keep moving forward. Keep your eyes on the promise. Keep your heart pure. Because what's coming next, it's going to look like a miracle. But to you, it will feel like confirmation. Let this truth settle deep into your soul. The season of hiddenness is over. The veil is lifting. The pain is passing. And now God is stepping onto the stage of your life. Not quietly, not slowly, but publicly. For too long, they only saw your struggle. Now they're about to see your recompense. What you suffered in silence, God is about to honor in full view. And the same people who thought your story was over, they're about to witness the most divine plot twist of your entire life. You see, God doesn't just bring justice in secret, He brings public vindication, not to humiliate your enemies, but to reveal His faithfulness in you. This isn't about ego, this isn't about revenge, this is about redemption. Your name has been whispered in back rooms, but now it's being declared in heavenly places. Everything that was stolen, God is restoring. Everything that was delayed, God is accelerating. This is not imagination, this is divine orchestration. There's a shift happening right now, not just in your outer world, but in your spirit. You can feel it. Something inside you has changed. You don't panic the way you used to. You don't crave validation the way you once did. You're moving differently, speaking differently, seeing differently. That's not coincidence, that's spiritual evolution. You've been stretched, pressed, refined, humbled, and now you are being positioned. You no longer walk as the wounded. You walk as the warrior. And not just any warrior, a chosen vessel entrusted with the fire of divine purpose. You've learned to praise even when it hurt. You've learned to worship in the middle of warfare. You've learned to trust even when everything around you was collapsing. That kind of faith, that kind of fire, it moves heaven, it frightens hell. Don't let the silence fool you. God has been working behind the scenes. Every door that didn't open, it wasn't rejection, it was protection. Every relationship that fell apart, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God was shielding you from alliances that would have sabotaged your destiny. You prayed for elevation, but God had to first remove what couldn't come with you, because not everyone can handle your breakthrough. Not everyone is equipped to handle your favor. Some people loved the version of you that was insecure, wounded, and controllable. But now you are free. And that threatens everything they tried to build around your brokenness. This is your season of reversal. The last shall be first. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. You who were overlooked are about to be highlighted by the hand of God. You who were cast aside are about to be brought to the front, not through manipulation, not through force, but through the undeniable glory of the Most High. There are tables being prepared for you in the presence of those who doubted you, and not so you can flaunt your blessings, but so they will see who truly fought for you. So they will know it was God. The battles were too big, the odds were too steep, the wounds were too deep, but grace carried you, mercy sustained you, and now favor is about to announce you. You've cried enough, you've suffered enough, you've hidden long enough. Now is the time to rise and walk in it. Walk in your healing, walk in your calling, walk in your victory. It's not coming, it's here. The doors are opening, the right connections are forming, the light is finding you, and not because you chased it, but because you became it. I want to speak directly to that wounded part of your heart, the part that still questions, still fears, still wonders if it's all too good to be true. Listen carefully. You are not an accident. You are not here by luck. You are not imagining things. The shift in your life isn't random, it's revelation. It's the divine revealing itself in your story. And no matter how long you've wandered, no matter how deep the pit was, you are coming out gold. What you're stepping into now is not just about you, it's about legacy. God is establishing something through you that will outlive you. Generational curses are breaking because of you. Chains your family endured for decades are falling off at your feet. You're not just rising, you're redeeming bloodlines. You're not just breaking out, you're building paths. You are the blueprint, the example, the light in the darkness. That's when the battles were so intense. That's why it felt like hell itself was trying to stop you, because the devil saw your impact before you ever stepped into it. But he failed, and now your very life is the proof that darkness doesn't win. Your joy will testify, your peace will preach, your blessings will speak volumes, and the best part? You won't even have to say a word. Your presence will carry prophetic power. People will feel the shift on you before you even enter the room. That's what happens when God marks you for elevation. Your life becomes evidence. So take a deep breath. Let the old fall away. Let the shame drop. Let the fear go. You're not who you were. You're not bound by the past. You're walking into a new dimension now, one where your name is honored, your voice is respected, and your story is redeemed. Everything is changing, and it's happening now. Lift your head, straighten your back, speak with authority, move with intention. You've survived the storm, and now you are the storm. You carry divine thunder in your voice, heavenly fire in your bones. You've earned this oil. You've paid the price in tears. And now, it's your time. Step boldly. God is with you. The heavens are celebrating. The earth is making room. You are not small. You are not weak. You are not lost. You are chosen, and your rise will be unforgettable. Let's go deeper now. Let's talk about the part nobody wants to admit, the spiritual weight behind your suffering. Because what you went through wasn't just random. The battles you faced weren't just coincidental. There was a reason behind every attack, every betrayal, every season of confusion and darkness. The moment you were marked as a chosen one, you became a threat in the spirit realm. The enemy didn't wait until you were fully awakened. He tried to snuff you out while you were still sleeping. Why? Because he feared what would happen if you ever woke up to who you really are. The attacks on your life weren't punishment. They were preventative. You were born with a divine assignment, and that assignment carried a frequency of light so pure, so disruptive to darkness that the forces of evil began strategizing against you before you could even form full sentences. That anxiety you struggled with as a child, that chronic rejection, that self-doubt, those weren't just emotions, they were spiritual warfare, because the enemy hoped you'd break before you ever discovered your authority. But now you know, now you see, now you're aware, and that awareness is a spiritual threat. That's why the moment you started healing, the moment you started reclaiming your time, your energy, your power, everything started shaking. People fell away. Old patterns tried to re-emerge. Confusion came knocking again, because that's what happens when you begin to disrupt the matrix of manipulation that was built to keep you small. You need to understand this. Your entire life was designed to look like defeat, until the divine reversal. You were chosen not in spite of your pain, but through it. That's the paradox of the divine. That's the mystery of being chosen. The very things that were meant to destroy you were actually the exact tools used to shape your destiny. The fire wasn't meant to burn you, it was meant to forge you. You want to know why they attacked you? Why they turned against you when all you did was love? Why people you would have died for were the ones who buried you in silence? It's because your spirit convicted their demons. Your light exposed their shadows. You weren't trying to hurt them, you were just being yourself. But that self carried so much divine reflection that it made them uncomfortable. And when people are spiritually unhealed, they attack what they don't understand. So they lied on you, they left you, they misjudged you. But it wasn't really about you, it was about the assignment on your life. It was about the power you carry. It was about the way your very presence activates truth in people who would rather stay numb. And when that happens, when light walks into a room full of people who've built homes in darkness, it causes disruption. You are the disruption. You are the anomaly. The walking contradiction to everything they said would never be possible. And now that you've awakened, you realize nothing was ever personal. It was always spiritual. The jealousy, the sabotage, the attempts to control you. It wasn't about your job, your relationships, or even your personality. It was about your essence, the essence of someone who is carrying a divine blueprint in a world that tries to mass-produce conformity. The essence of someone who was never meant to blend in. But it gets deeper than that. Because even your mistakes were woven into the plan. Every wrong turn, every failure, every heartbreak, it all became part of your spiritual curriculum. God doesn't just use your gifts, He uses your wounds. He doesn't just anoint your strengths, He anoints your weaknesses too. That's how He gets the glory. not through perfection, but through redemption. You had to fall in order to learn how to rise correctly. You had to lose yourself in order to discover your real identity. You had to walk through that valley of shadows in order to know who walks beside you in the dark. And now that you know, now that you carry the wisdom, the scars, the fire, you are dangerous to the very systems that tried to enslave you. You don't just have purpose, you have strategy. You don't just have faith, you have evidence. You've seen too much to go back. You've been through too much to play small. And what's even more powerful, you now understand the why. Why it had to happen, why it hurt so much, why it lasted so long. Because God was building a foundation in you that couldn't be shaken. A character that couldn't be bought, a discernment that couldn't be deceived. This is what happens to chosen ones. You're not just elevated, you're entrusted. Entrusted with revelation, entrusted with light, entrusted with healing power that will not only set you free, but others too. That's the other side of this story. This rise isn't just for you. It's for everyone assigned to your voice, every soul who will hear your testimony and decide not to give up. Every person who will look at your transformation and say, if they made it, maybe I can too. That's why the attacks were generational. Because the devil knew if you broke free, the chains would not return. He knew that once you stepped into your true identity, the cycle was over. The silence was shattered. The darkness had to flee. And that's exactly what's happening now. You're not rising for applause. You're rising as a divine signal in the earth, a beacon of hope, a spiritual revolution in human form. The old systems won't understand you. The people who only knew the old version of you will try to reduce you. But you're not going back. You've been sealed by fire, and your soul remembers the covenant. You came here to shift something, to heal something, to awaken something. So stop asking for permission to be powerful. Stop explaining your growth to those committed to misunderstanding it. You don't owe them an explanation. Your obedience is your explanation. Your peace is your answer. Your glow is your testimony. Let them say what they want. Let them twist the narrative. God is about to speak on your behalf, loudly. Through your wins, through your wisdom, through your supernatural peace. You don't need to defend your character when heaven is already writing your legacy. And now, you're no longer walking. You're soaring. And they never expected this, because the world only respects results. But God respects faithfulness. And your faith, it didn't fail, you held on, you kept praying, you stayed pure. And that is why heaven is opening over your life. That is why favor is chasing you. That is why your next chapter will be so glorious. Even your past will thank you for surviving it. This is the paradox. The pain didn't stop your purpose, it perfected it. The betrayal didn't block your blessing, it positioned it. You didn't just rise, you resurrected. You didn't just overcome, you transcended. And now your life is a walking prophecy fulfilled. And so here you are, no longer buried in their disbelief, no longer hiding in the shadows of who you used to be. The version of you that once whispered, "Maybe I'm not enough," is gone. The version of you that begged for love, for understanding, for belonging, that version laid down and died so that you, the real you, could live. And now the world must witness what heaven has already affirmed. You are the chosen one. Not chosen by man, not chosen by popularity, but chosen by divine intention. You've been handpicked not just to survive life's storms, but to shift them, to turn pain into power, to turn betrayal into boldness, to walk with such radiant grace that even those who once cursed your name are left in awe. Because this kind of glory doesn't come from luck or chance. It comes from the fire. The deep, holy fire that burned away every illusion, every lie, every limitation until all that was left was truth. You are that truth, living, breathing, walking in human form. And I know you feel it now, that calm certainty, that quiet strength. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You don't have to shout to be seen or fight to be heard. You don't even have to convince them. The time for convincing is over. This is the era of revealing. This is the chapter where God confirms everything you already knew in your spirit. This is where the world finally sees the royalty that's always been written in your bones. Do you understand what this moment means? It means the nights you cried and no one came. That was divine intimacy. It means the silence you endured. That was sacred protection. It means the seasons of nothingness were actually seasons of birthing. You weren't being ignored. You were being shielded, while heaven rearranged everything around you, while angels warred on your behalf, while God placed every enemy, every Judas, every delay exactly where they needed to be, so your victory would be undeniable. And now you are walking into that victory, slowly, boldly, softly, powerfully, not as someone who clawed their way to the top in bitterness, but as someone who surrendered and was lifted by God's own hand. And yes, they're watching. Some in awe, some in silence, some still confused, wondering how you're still here after all that happened. And the truth is, you shouldn't be here. You should have lost your mind. You should have quit. You should have drowned in grief. But grace kept you, and now that same grace is crowning you, not just with blessings, but with clarity, peace, purpose, power. You know who you are now. That's the real blessing. You know your value doesn't come from applause. Your identity doesn't come from being needed or accepted or praised. You're not desperate anymore. You're anchored, rooted in truth, rooted in God, rooted in a destiny that cannot be revoked. And because of that, because you've returned to yourself, everything is about to align. The right doors will open without you knocking. The right people will find you without you chasing. The opportunities meant for you will flow effortlessly because they were always yours. Your energy has shifted, your frequency has risen, and now you're drawing in miracles with your mere existence. But don't forget, this rise is sacred. This rise is holy. Protect it. Don't waste time explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Don't re-enter places where your spirit once suffocated just because they miss your light. You've paid too high a price. Your glow is not for negotiation. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. But you, keep rising. Keep walking in love, not the naive love that ignores red flags, but the divine love that sets boundaries and keeps your soul whole. Keep praying, not because you're desperate, but because you're in alignment. Keep trusting, not in people, but in purpose. And above all, stay humble, stay grounded, stay connected to the source that brought you out of the fire, because this is only the beginning. Your name is being called in places you've never been. Your presence is being felt in rooms your feet haven't entered. Your story is echoing in hearts across the world, because your life, your very existence, is a testimony, a prophecy fulfilled. You were always meant to rise, not just to succeed, not just to win, but to awaken the world, to awaken the broken, to awaken those who, like you once did, believed they were forgotten. But you were never forgotten. You were chosen. And now it's your time, not for revenge, not for recognition, but for revelation. Let your life reveal the hand of God. Let your healing reveal what real strength looks like. Let your peace silence every critic. Let your presence shift every space you enter, because now you carry legacy, you carry light, you carry truth. So walk forward, chosen one, not with fear, but with fire, not with doubt, but with divine boldness. And if your soul still whispers, "But what if I'm not ready?" let me say this: you already are, because chosen ones aren't made in comfort. They're made in crushing. They're made in obscurity. They're made in the places no one clapped for. You are ready. You are rising. And they will never forget how you showed up after they tried to bury you, silence you, overlook you. They never expected you to rise like this. But heaven did. Now go and live like the prophecy you truly are. Your rise is written in the stars.